Like that weird thing that you're like, that's weird and I love it. There's
Mm,
something in that, right? It's your soul showing you how you're different from other people. And I think that's what we all crave. Like everyone, even if they are passing as normal, they want to
mm,
be seen as weird. Like they want to be seen for like the little things that they're into.
mm.
Yeah, so that's maybe my biggest advice around that. And my weird thing, I guess, would be talking to people who have passed away.
All right. What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Nosedive, the show where we bring you incredible guests who are numbing less and living more. Today, Mara and I are super excited to talk with Hailey Lowe Fennell, a psychic medium and mentor. She works with clients through her Substack via one-on-one and group readings, where she helps people learn to do what she does, to connect with your soul, your highest self, the guides who are here to help you in this lifetime and the people you've lost who are on the other side. Welcome, Hailey. We're very eager to talk to you about the Substack series, especially for listeners who are curious about building their own personal intuition and practice or to be a psychic medium. So welcome to Nosedive.
Thank you guys so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, super stoked. Renee, I gotta say, you have a nice cadence going for like when you're in like introducing our guests. I'm like, it sounds so good.
Thank
I'm
you.
like,
I'm like really
in
good.
my flow.
I
Yeah.
was like, is that for me?
Right, right. But Hailey, so excited to chat with you today because obviously Renee and I have both had readings with you. And at that point, I don't think would have never guessed that we would be here having this conversation. And there's so many questions that come up about the topics of like psychic mediumship and like, and it's like, okay, let's unpack that a little bit. Because it's like a very curious space, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. It piques people's interest for sure. I always joke I could talk about it all day long. Someone has to like stop me. So
Perfect. Let her rip.
good. We're in the right place.
Yeah. Could you tell us then, Haley, like a little bit? Because I remember you posted something I think fairly recently on your Substack, and we'll get into the series because I'm also a part of that too, which has been like so lovely and very informative. But I remember you posting something about you actually voicing you becoming or being a psychic medium and how that was kind of sticky and a little hard and maybe challenging for you to sort of maybe finally admit that or say that out loud. So could you tell us and in our audience a little bit about like your background with that? Where was like that aha moment of, yeah, I have this gift, but also how do I tell people about it?
Yeah. Yeah. I'd love to tell you guys. I mean, first of all, I really do think that anybody and everybody can do it, but it was a long time until I was able to admit that, not only to myself, but then also be like, oh my gosh, like anybody can do this. We all have these gifts, but by no means did I grow up in a household that was open to this kind of thing. Not that it was super, super traditional, but there definitely was zero vocabulary around psychic mediumship. I was maybe the more strange child in my family, interested in like aliens and witches and things like that. But I did not think of psychic mediumship as a job or an option. And so, flash forward like a few years, I got into art, which was uh, more accepted, I'd say, like whatever for the way I grew up. And I loved it. I loved being an artist. I did it in Atlanta for quite a few years. I was on a really good track there. I had some great mentors. I had some great shows.
Mm.
It was amazing. I went to SCAD Atlanta and got my master's in sculpture. And
Gosh, I had no idea. Very cool.
yeah, yeah. And the truly the best experience ever. And I think that
Wow.
started to kind of open me up to, ooh, like I could do this alternative path, like this thing that um for my childhood, I was like, this is like a little different. I could kind of edge this way, kind of go this way. But then I had my second kid, my son, and had a little bit of postpartum in there and had this moment of like, oh my gosh, like I'm not enjoying what I used to enjoy, which is like a typical sign of postpartum. Um, and was like, but like I have this one life. Like I want to be happy. Like I want to do something. I want to like what would it be if I could do anything that I wanted to in the world? And maybe in like the very back of my mind it was psychic mediumship, but the answers that came first were a little bit more like astrology, Reiki, kind of these things that were and that could be like the thing for someone, right? And then psychic mediumship could be on the outside. But those were the things like skirting psychic mediumship for me. But the little signs from what I now know is my spirit team giving me like, yeah, like if you're thinking astrology, go with astrology. If you're thinking Reiki, go with Reiki. And as soon as
Mm,
I started to act on those little nudges from what I call the universe, people can call it whatever they want. I was led to more clarity. So like through taking action, I was given this clarity of, oh, like what I really want is this really big, brave, deep thing to me, which is mediumship. Like I want to talk to the other side and give messages to the people that are still here. So it took years. I mean, it was a lot of hard work and through some really satisfying hardship, I'd say, to get to where I am now. And that even just harnessing in the vocabulary to even call myself a psychic medium took a really long time. And it really felt like, what are people going to think when I say this
mm.
thing?
The
I never
cringe
want to,
factor.
yeah, ooh, yeah, like had to climb that cringe mountain, right? And like,
Yeah. Yes.
Cringe mountain.
Totally.
yeah,
Yes.
ooh. Um, but the one thought that really kept coming back and back during that time was, do I really want to get to the end of this life and not say that I did it?
Mm. Ooh, there's so much juicy stuff there. I want to like back it up all the way to your artistry.
Yeah.
And what, because you mentioned a master's in sculpture. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So what, well, yeah, what type of art do you do? Like,
That's a great question. So I graduated with my undergraduate degree from the University of Colorado with a creative advertising degree and
wait,
a technology.
from CU Boulder?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Me
My
too.
God, Mara.
How did we not know this? That's amazing. Hey,
Whoa.
yeah, I grew
Wait,
up in Atlanta, but I went to Colorado.
okay, yeah, I grew up in Miami and ended up graduating from Colorado. But so say what you studied again there?
Okay. So I graduated. So the journalism department there, at least when I went there, had like you could do creative advertising or you could do admit or like accounting advertising. I forget the other half of that,
Mm.
but I got into the creative advertising program, so I did that. But then
Okay.
I also did, and it was new when I went there, but they called it. I'm thinking that they still do the technology, arts, and media studies. Was like
Mm,
a minor.
okay.
Yeah, do they I'm assuming that they still have that. But
Yeah.
it was like creating websites and logos and like graphic.
Wow.
It's so easy now. We have like Canva that, does a lot of that for you.
Yeah.
But that's what I did. And then I went to San Francisco for a little bit right in 2008 when the recession happened. Couldn't afford to stay in San Francisco, which is
Who
unfortunate.
can?
Um,
Honestly.
Yeah.
And then, but I was still doing some like freelance graphic design stuff and then landed back home because my mom was sick with breast cancer. She's fine, she's a survivor. And so thankful for that. But when I was at home, I was working as a art gallery manager at Gregor B. Fine Art, which is this wonderful gallery there. And it was the people listening might know about it. It was when it was behind this church, and now she has this like huge gallery in the middle of Buckhead. But I loved it so much, and I was like, "Ooh, but I don't wanna do this side of it, like, I wanna be the artist, like, I wanna do the other side."
Mm,
Yeah.
And just, like, little nudges started kinda being brave enough just to listen to what I really wanted to do, and so I went to SCAD Atlanta, and the joke is if you don't fit into, like, a painter or I didn't wanna do graphic design anymore,
yeah.
or, like, these certain little majors, you just get dropped into sculpture because you can kind of do
It's kind of
anything.
like a
Yeah.
blanket, like, okay, if you don't know what you want to do, like sculpture's it.
Yeah, they're like, "Go there, like, do sculpture because you could really
Cool.
do like, you could be a painter, but do, like, sculptural sort of stuff, and so I was, like, a graphic designer, but I wanted to do, I ended up, by the time I graduated, doing these series where I went out in nature with game cameras and I would make salt licks like that you would put out for like horses or cows, but I would mold them into typewriters or cassette tapes. Um,
Cool. That
Wow.
is so cool.
Occasionally, I'd use like vintage TVs in of my work, but they would attract animals. So the salt licks would attract animals, and I would film them with my game cameras and do like,
Oh my
long story
gosh.
short, like multimedia film work. I never really knew
Cool.
what to call it in school either, but I was like, this
Yeah.
is what it is. Yeah. And then people
Whoa.
would go to like galleries or museums and they could see like the output of that film work. And then sometimes I'd bring in like the salt licks that were licked away and these forms. It was cool. It was fun. Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. I'm just like thinking of the cassettes and the typewriter, and the salt licks and just like how random, but how cool and genius that is.
Yeah. If
And
someone
I
did like
I
a
love it.
deep dive on Google, they can find some of the images. I used to have them up on my website, but I had some marketing confusion there. So we're
That's
I
like,
wonder
hilarious.
why.
Let's see. I'm
yeah.
going to definitely do a deep dive after this and see if we can find some of that. But I also find what's interesting is like typewriters and TVs like that is so analog, which is like what I feel like we're swinging back to right now. So it's almost
Wow.
like very timeless creations that you had there.
Yeah, it was always about the intersection of technology and humanity and how we
Mm,
interact with it. And I love seeing the flows of the back and forth and coming back to maybe a bit of a more nostalgic age now. So it's
mm,
nice.
yeah. Wow. I love, and I feel like this is going to be a big theme of our conversation because you speak to it, and I think it's so important, just how you have followed your nudges
Hmm.
and like taking action on them. And I'm sure we'll get into this as well, is trying to decipher like your gut intuition versus fear. When should you do something? And right now, I'll give you an example. I'm back in Key West and I'm like debating, like, do I want to stay here or am I going to want to go back to Charleston? And I'm like, oh, but I want to do this and this, but oh, I have this going on in Charleston. And so how do you really help people or ourselves figure out when do you follow that nudge and when do you just like, no?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think over the years, I've accidentally followed my nose so many times that I've had to really start paying attention to like, okay, like I now know better what a no feels like, even if I really want it to be a yes. I mean, there's so
Mm,
many things that we want to be yeses, but could just be a no right now. And we only get to find them out through the practice of doing it. I mean, and sometimes it really, really means like having a no moment and looking back and being like, ooh, like where did I feel that in my body, in my mind, in my soul, that that
mm,
was a no, but I did it anyways. And how can I do it differently next time?
mm. I like how you said it could be a no right now. Like,
Yeah.
not
And sometimes
indefinitely?
yeah, it's like sometimes we're like, I really wanted that to be a yes. And we could waste time, honestly, being like, why do I want that to be a yes? Is it because my ego? Is because it was a yes for somebody else? Is it because of it's a yes for my parents and I want it to be a yes for me? Um, or we could just be like, it just is what it is. Like
Mm,
I feel like I've wasted so much time trying to overanalyze yeses and nos that when I really sink into what's right for me, that fades away pretty quickly. And I'm able to just go with my yeses. And then people just get to catch up when they catch up
mm.
to it. Yeah.
So what does a yes for you feel like in your body versus a no?
Yeah, mine are pretty strong, but I mean, this has taken probably like 7 years in the making, right? And they change all the time, like, or evolve or add on to. But right now, my yes is like when my spine goes really straight. Sometimes I'll even find myself putting my hands on my body like this. I'm like, ooh, like I felt that. And then
Mm,
my no is a slouch. And
Hmm.
like, if I'm in the middle of a conversation with someone and they're talking to me and I'm not necessarily tuned in and they ask me a question, I might not notice it. I might slouch and be like, sure, I'll make it to that thing. Um, like overcommit to
Yeah.
something. Um, and then sometimes it's like, I don't always notice it. But when I do, I'm like, ooh, like I
Wow.
just overcommitted to something. I'm going to have to find my way out of it. Or like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just like maybe even said no to something that should have been a yes.
Mm.
But as soon as I notice it, I try to follow through with it as quickly as I can, because when we do that, we get clarity in other areas of life.
Yeah, kind of opens up that door. And for people who aren't viewing this on the YouTube channel and that are listening, Hailey is talking about like literally standing like sitting almost straight up, like shoulders back, like let's freaking go, dude." And then like the other her nose are is just like slouched over. I guess that's you kind of already said
Yeah.
that, but just in
Yeah.
case.
Shoulders. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
And it's
it's,
so subtle too. I feel like it really takes awareness and slowing down. I feel like to realize how your body is actually reacting, because our bodies are moving and grooving all day long, moving, and to be like, oh, this was like a subtle thing.
yeah.
So I can understand how it can take a while to really be able to understand what your body is communicating with you and take that time to really learn it.
And our voices can like do different things than what we mean, right? Like we say yes to things all the time that we didn't really want to do. Or we say yes to something and then we think it's because it really was a yes. And then later, maybe we don't want to go to the thing or it's a no. My advice with that is to actually follow through with your past self, knowing that it was a yes.
Mm,
Because
okay.
if you're anything like me, you'll get tired and you'll like want to back out or you'll want like plans to
Totally.
cancel. But if it was a yes, like a true yes at some point, there's something in it for you.
Okay. Yeah, I have a good amount of friends that are coming to my head or mind that they're afraid to commit to something too soon because they don't want to back out and cancel on people. So,
Yeah.
and we could go into this from like a cultural standpoint too. Like now even therapists will be like, "Okay, well since you don't want to overcommit and then back out, just tell people I'll get back to you on that."
Yeah, that's fair.
And
That's
and
fair.
so it's fair, but it's also like, I don't know. It's like I find that maybe even annoying. And even my friends who do this, they're like, "Yeah, I know this is annoying." Like, but I don't want to say I'm going to be somewhere and then I'm not going to be there.
And then
Um,
not. That's though, it's actually a good way of, because if someone asks you in the moment, you might even not get a yes or a no. Like it's not
right.
always going to be like, and sometimes you have to really clear your head to get that clear yes or
Hmm.
no, or have practiced it enough. So I don't know. That's like a good little hack to be like,
Mm,
let me get back to you so that you
right.
can kind of like empty out a little bit and then get a clear yes or no on your own. Yeah.
Right. And I think too, some people are a little different where they will have like a gut response immediately and they have that yes or no. And some people take a minute to like need the time to process to actually. So I think I'm definitely more of that. I'm going to know yes or no immediately,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
but
But you've also
it's,
done like a lot of work around that too. You know what I
mm,
mean? Like you've actually been and given yourself the space and like the curiosity to like sit with your feelings to kind of know to be able to do that, you know?
mm, yeah, true. Yeah. But yeah, I respect people's different ways about it.
Yeah, yeah.
Who
I think
knows?
that it's like the more you practice it, like what Renee was saying, the it'll get quicker.
Yeah.
I think I said in like one of my recent Substacks, I kind of forget which ones have been released and which haven't. This one has.
Inside sneak peek.
Where, yeah,
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah, I'm sure this one has. Like one of my no's is using the wrong fork. Like it's like a sensory
Yes.
for sure. So that's like a different topic, but it is a simple way of being like yes or no. Like I have a fork that I like and a fork that I don't. If I choose the fork that I don't like. There's nothing wrong with that. Like nothing bad is going to happen to me, but man, will I feel that in my body. It gives me even more than like a slouch. It's like a visceral thing in my hand.
Mm.
So it's a great way of practicing your yeses and your nos. Like do something like have this is a horrible example because if you're a coffee person, you're a coffee person, but have tea in the morning instead. Even just thinking about it, I'm like, that's like such a no for me. And it's like, oh,
Yeah.
like bigger decisions come into your life that are going to be such a no, and you're not going to know why, but it just
Mm.
is.
Mm.
Love like the very like to me that's very straightforward and a very good easy entry point to understanding what you mean by how you feel in your body. Like whatever that small little thing that kind of gives you that ick, take that into other decisions. Like that is what your no feels like. So I love that analogy, even though it seems so simple, like it can be that simple, which is
Yeah, it
nice.
like but that's the practice is getting it to be that simple. And then the
Mm.
real practice and challenge is trusting it when the decisions get even bigger, like moving from
Mhm.
Charleston to Key West or vice versa. It's like
Mhm.
that's
Yes.
a decision. So that no is going to play more in your mind than a fork is going to be. But
Right.
you
Right. Right.
know.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. So funny that you brought that up. I'm like the trust part. So because we second guess ourselves and we start we've mentioned this in another episode before, but how your gut reaction is, I've heard somewhere your gut reaction is more of a statement, and then fear and anxiety start come in as questions. So you have that like yes or no. Oh, but what if I go? And then instead, oh, but what if you start, the fear starts coming and it comes in, usually shows up as like all these questions. And yeah, how do you get to a point to where you just trust the freaking process? You know, it's like you got to make a choice and go with something.
Yeah.
That's it. You got to make a choice, even if it's the wrong one, because as soon as you do, you'll just get more clarity. I mean, we're all human, so we're meant. Sometimes the yes is actually leading you down to a mistake, and we don't know why, right? Like because it's going to help us with a later decision. Who knows? But it really is just in the practice and just in allowing yourself to make mistakes so that you can get it right later.
Mm. This is like kind of reminding me of like how, or bringing up curiosity around kind of living boldly, or kind of being brave to explore or like do something differently, and how to get out of just doing routine or staying stuck or comfortable rather. And so like what would you yeah, what is your perspective on all of that? Like I'm assuming here, and I guess I shouldn't, but I'm definitely assuming that you're like, yeah, like go for the thing. Like,
Yeah. Always, right? That's like
mm.
always the answer. And I'm always reminded, I think it was this, it's almost been a year, this past January of being like, I'm going to be my own best friend this year. Like, what would my
Mm.
best friend say? And the answer always is, right? Like, go for it. Like, you're good enough, you're confident enough, you're smart enough. So starting to tell yourself those things, like, this is something I want, therefore I'm going to go for it, even if it takes teeny tiny steps. Even if I get confused along the way, I'm going to try as hard as I can to believe in myself. So that's less of like a spiritual thing and just more of a like, you got it. I mean, my biggest
Yeah.
advice is to be as weird as you can. Like, always
Yes.
Yes, be
I
your
love
own best
that.
friend and be as weird as you can. I
be as
mean,
weird.
yes.
Yeah. Like that weird thing that you're like, that's weird and I love it. There's
Mm.
something in that, right? Um, it's your soul showing you how you're different from other people. And I think that's what we all crave. Like everyone, even if they are passing as normal, they want to
Mm.
be seen as weird. Like they want to be seen for like the little things that they're into.
Mm.
Um, yeah, so that's maybe my biggest advice around that. And my weird thing, I guess, would be talking to people who have passed away. Being very open about it and being like, oh, like they're right there. They can talk with you anytime you want. Not that I always get it right or I'm always like on top of it, but that I know that it's available and there, and that I'm weird enough to tell people
Mm.
do that.
Oh my gosh. Is it just like, are they like when you connect with the other side? Is it like constant like chatter, like da 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 in the background, or do you have to like say, okay, we're going down that route? And then it opens the door.
I had a great mentor. Her name's Carol Cottrell. She's also here in Charleston, who I think and I don't want to speak for her, but from what I remember from her, she has like a switch, like she's kind of on and off. And she gave me some great advice in the very beginning that was like, you're going to have on and off times, and to also not give people readings unless they ask.
Mm.
And I think that was the best advice, even like the most ethical advice she could have given me,
Mm-hmm.
because since then it's like, oh yeah, like I don't have to be on unless someone has like come and wants a reading with me. And there's so many different reasons for that, right? Like they might not be ready. It might not be a part of their religion, which is really important. They might not want to hear from that person. Um, so I'm kind of sort of on and off. I don't exactly know how some mediums really do have a switch. I think I always have a buzz going on, but it's like a lot more quiet when I'm not sitting down with someone, and I can kind of pick up on it but ignore it to a certain extent. And
Mm.
too, like those on the other side, they know that I'm not passing along messages unless
Like you're
it
kind of
someone's
closed off.
yeah. But they'll come for me. Like I'm always kind of chatting with them in my head, and they'll come in and out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Energies for sure. Like,
Oh.
and going back to that too, like you know, talking about the weirdness, because that's what we love. Like we want to embrace people's uniqueness and their strange, their oddities. When did you in your journey kind of realize that your uniqueness or your weirdness was actually a gift? What did that look like for you? Was it like an actual moment or was it more of like a gradual process?
Ooh, that's a great question. I don't think it was an actual moment. Definitely more of a gradual process. I don't know if it's even weirdness that I would say is the thing that I noticed. Growing up, everyone said I was quiet and kind. Um, and I took
Hmm.
that as a bad thing for a really long time, which I know sounds weird saying that out loud, but I just did. Like it wasn't the best thing to be in my family. Everybody was like super loud. And if you were loud, you got what you wanted. And I just like was so quiet, and then maybe being told like, oh, you're too kind, you're so kind, you're too kind. Those are probably the two things that I have realized the past decade are my greatest strengths. I'm like, oh, my kindness is what magnetizes people towards me, like me
Mm.
being open. And then that openness and that reframing of that, I think, is what brought in a lot of my spiritual gifts, and my willingness to share it with anybody that wants it to be shared.
Yeah, well, I love that too. Like it's almost the opposite brings in these gifts, you know, where you're thinking like, oh, well, being loud or being that certain way is what actually gets you success in your own right. But when you embraced your oppositeness is when things started coming in.
Yeah, like when I really saw myself, not just how other people saw me. And I do think there's a bit of a shield for me with that. I'm like, ooh, like I can't tell how other people see me all the time. But maybe using the words that they would use and owning them in
Mm.
my own way, being
Like
like, ooh,
reclaiming it for
yeah,
yourself.
that's like a part of me that I just can't change. And why would I want to change that?
Right.
Like, it's like,
Want you to, so nope.
I know. Everyone loves a nice person.
It's
yeah, or
true.
it could be like the opposite, right? Like it could be someone that was told their whole life that they're too much, that they're too loud, that they're too this. And maybe it's not something to change, but there's something in who you are that is going to pull you even more into your life's purpose. I don't ever think that we're off of our path or off of our purpose or that we're not magnetic or any of these things. But I think sometimes we get in our own way.
So important for people to hear. Like that's just so comforting even for me like on a personal note is like you're right where you're supposed to be. No
Yeah,
matter what
always.
choice you make, like you're right where you're supposed to be. So
Yeah.
there's comfort.
Oh, I wanted to talk about, like, yes. I wanted to like life purpose. Like you're never like when you follow your what were you saying? Like, can you articulate that again? Like when you're following your
Yeah.
more so who you are, it brings you deeper into where you're supposed to be or what you're supposed to do or what how
Yeah.
yeah.
I think when it comes to life purpose, the whole goal is to just look back at yourself. Like, what are the things that you're pushing away that maybe no matter what are always going to be a part of you? And then what are the things that you want that you've been ignoring because you think that they're too big for you to grab onto? And there's probably something weird in there, right? It's probably something that you're like, that's not for me. Like, I have no people in my family that have done that, or I've been told I can't do that. But for some reason, it keeps coming back into your mind over and over and over again. There's definitely something in your life purpose that is in those fields. Not that it will always be obvious. It usually feels quite muddled at first until you start taking action on it. And
Mm,
then you're going to get a lot more clarity around that. And you're never in the wrong spot. Like you're always in the perfect position to start doing the things that you actually want to do in life, right? I will say it takes a lot of pushing away fear. So those fear-based messages that we were talking about earlier, where it's like, well, I'm not good enough, or why me, or like that's too big. I think I sit with a lot of people that have this really big vision and it feels so far away. And I always remind them that that big vision is there because you can't get rid of it. And it's far away only because you haven't broken it down into teeny tiny steps yet. Right. So like
mm,
smallest thing is going to give you clarity, and not that that vision has to be the thing that ends up like the purpose being, but that vision is there just to get you to take the next right step, and then watch the vision change and become more clear and become more you. And all of a sudden it's this thing that's so uniquely you that nobody else could possibly replicate it, that you found your life purpose.
hmm.
That's also so comforting, like, because
Yeah.
it's a lot of the times I feel like, especially, people, at least for me, I say people, I'm probably talking about myself. In my mid-30s, like, you're in this job where you're like, "Wow, this is my life, and I'm not really liking how it's looking right now, but I don't know what the next steps are, and I have this vision." But as you said, like, it can allowing people the permission that the vision can change into maybe even something bigger than you can even imagine, and not necessarily holding on to specific outcomes to where you're paralyzed to taking those steps to get you to that vision. Because I feel like sometimes when people do probably come to you and they're like, I have this huge thing, but like, where do I start? And it's like, as you're saying, taking just the small steps to get there will encompass the vision and probably turn out to something better than you could even imagine.
Yeah. And like this small step could be something, this isn't simple by any means because it takes a lot of bravery to do it. But my small step was reaching out to people that I knew and I knew who their people were that passed away. I was like, can
Mm.
I give you a reading? And those are like the hardest. It is so much harder to read for someone that you know than it is for
Wow.
a stranger. And it took me, my Carol Terrell told me that too. She was like, just wait. And I was like, there's no way. But it's true because you know them. So you start doubting, like, well, I already know this about them. But that was like
Mm,
my version of a small step, right? It was like, I'm going to read for people I know and see how this goes. And then I reached out and then I asked those friends to give me a group of friends that I didn't know. And it was like, oh, like this release, this clarity, like I can do that. Like
Mm.
I can read for people that I know nothing about. And so anyways, those small steps. And then I think that there's really something powerful in realizing that because we're all constantly getting messages from our soul, from our guides, from those on the other side, if we want. If someone's super grounded, they might just have a knowing and they might be like, well, that came from me. I think that's perfect too. Um, but there's a big difference between messages that come in from fear and ego, and then messages that come in from what we'll just call the other side to make it simple. And when we're getting messages from fear and ego, it will stop us in our path. And we just have to know, we just have to like ask our ego to step to the side. Our ego is so important for so many other things, like what we want materialistically in life. It's perfect. And we should have ego. But when we get into messages for life's purpose, there's this other side, and it is tapping into the messages that feel good, calm, or even neutral. So it could be neutral, like you should take this way to work. And it's not going to, that could feel fear based, right? Because someone would be like, oh my gosh, so if I took my normal way, am I going to get in a car accident? It's like, but if we hear it in a way of, oh, just take this way to work, and it's because it drives us past this coffee shop that then we stop into, that then we meet someone, like, we have to learn how to hear those messages in the good, calm, neutral way sometimes in order to like push ourselves a little bit further into that uncomfort of becoming who we're supposed to be.
If people come to you for readings, um, do people usually have hesitation? And then they're like, "Oh, okay." Or do people just come to you because they're already open, or is it kind of a mix? Because I'm sure
Yeah.
there are people who are listening who have never had a reading and, like, who are like, like, on the cusp.
Yeah. Yeah. I always like to say everyone's welcome. Like, I have no control over your skepticism. It's definitely up to the person that decides to sit with me, how open they want to be. And I've sat with many people who are skeptical, maybe not true skeptics. Like, I think there's some openness there if they've decided to come for a reading. And maybe they've even left skeptical. And the best is when I get an email, even if it's years later, that's like, oh my gosh, like this thing, you said this thing in a reading and it now makes sense. And thank you so much. And it could be something so incredibly simple. And I hope that there's even more people like that that just don't email me because
Right.
who knows? But yeah, my job as a psychic medium is to give the reading as it comes to me. And no matter how skeptical or trusting the person is that sits with me. Does
Mm,
that make sense?
mhm.
Like,
And
yeah, a whole gamut of what they
yeah.
want.
So what's the difference between, like, psychic and then medium?
Yeah. So psychic is more when my soul's talking to your soul. So I'm picking up on things that are past, present, or future. It doesn't matter, but my soul is just talking with your soul. Mediumistic is when I'm talking to those who have passed away and are on the other side and are coming through. Now, there's like a whole thing in psychic mediumship about this. Some people will say they're psychics. Some people will say they're mediums. Some people will say psychic medium. I am a psychic medium. I also don't think it matters. I also think these are labels and terms that somebody came up with at some point. And yes, they make sense because there's definitely like soul connection stuff and other side connection stuff. But the goal is that I like that.
Wow.
What is
Wow.
that?
Fun. My Riverside and my Zoom do like the weirdest things. Um,
That's
My God.
great.
um, But I think that we are moving into a world where those labels aren't even going to matter
Mm,
anymore. If we were to get like super nitty gritty into it, I'm a trance medium, which means that like I feel spirit entering me and they give me information. So I like feel like I'm the person that is on the other side and I'm communicating as though I'm them.
So cool.
But, like, there's so many different terms, but at the end of the day, I think we can label it whatever we want. We're all doing it to some extent, and whether it's psychic or mediumistic, as long as the person that's sitting with me gets exactly what they need in that moment, then I've done my job.
mm,
Is that
hmm.
why, or a portion of why you wanted to start the Substack series of a mentorship and kind of showing people the way?
Yes, I love it. Um, yeah, I feel like that is my one of you mentioned this earlier, like this sort of contentment or being content or for me, it's like this is horrible, whatever, I'm gonna say it. Like a boredom that can come in where I'm like, ooh, like, gosh, like I give these one-on-one readings and those aren't boring by any means. Like I absolutely love doing it, but then I have these moments afterwards where I'm like, what else can I do? Like I'm not
Mhm.
satisfied, which goes back to like a human design thing. But
What's
I'm
your
not
human design?
I'm a manifesting generator.
Okay.
And
We're both like, yep.
yes. So I'm like, I want to do a million things all at once. And there's other psychic mediums where their next step is starting to mentor, but like more on like a group or one-on-one or in-person basis. And I just have this vision, talking about like this faraway vision of reaching as many people as I can, because feel some other things coming on the line for me that are within the death related fields, but it's not psychic mediumship necessarily. So I really want to create something where I can teach people that they can do it too. Like I sit with people all the time and I'm like, you can do it too. Like, here's your people that came forward, and this is why they're coming forward. And these are the areas of life that they come forward for you. And I want you to go home. And the next time you are questioning your career and whether you should stay or not, you are going to call on your grandmother because she has advice for you, and
Mm.
you're going to feel her come forward, and then you're going to make the decision yourself, because they don't ever take decisions away from us. But like, you can do it too. Like, you don't need me. I want people to know that they don't need a psychic medium to tap in and to feel their worth or their connection, or that they've left someone that has gone to the other side and that there's something unfinished. I'm like, they're here for us. So yeah, I hate the idea that people
Gosh.
feel like they have to go sit with a psychic medium to get the answers that they need for themselves, when it's just as available in the moment.
Yeah, and I can speak to, I mean, it's super accessible. I'm in the mentorship right now. Like I signed up for it. I'm like, yes, sign me up. I want to figure out my own intuition. And I'm so thankful for it, because I think a lot of the times, when someone has like a piece of knowledge like this, or they're the subject matter expert of things like this, they don't necessarily gatekeep, but I also don't think that they necessarily have they want to make it as accessible as possible. And sometimes people aren't even able to do that. So I think, with the intention that you have with this, it's just going to create so much more of a like ripple effect of people reclaiming their own energies and just creating something that's bigger than yourself in a very positive way, which I love.
Mm.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, I just want people to feel it. Like, I think there was a time in my life where before mediumship, like I just questioned everything, right? Like, and I've had plenty of friends who aren't here anymore who questioned life. And I'm like, gosh, like, but there's just so much more on the other end of those questions, and having the strength to really connect in with yourself. And even in our worst moments, knowing that there's something coming down the line. For me, connection is what helped me move past those feelings. And if that helps even just one person, then
Mm.
that's the whole goal.
Yeah. Yeah. I was telling Renee not too long ago, I'm like, I want to have another reading, but I feel like I also, because I'm hearing you can do these things yourself. You can tap in. I'm like, I get that. And like, but also I
Yeah.
want another reading. And yeah, I wonder if you ever have like frustration because, here we are. I'm like, whoa, that's so cool. And you're like, yeah, but you can do it too. And I'm like, does that ever like frustrate you that you're like, okay, yes, would love to have a reading with you, but also you can do
Like, girl,
it?
you can do it yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
I always welcome like second, third. I have plenty of people that meet with me like lots of times. It always welcome. Like, it never frustrates me at all, ever, because some people want to do it and some people just need those like check-ins. But the whole goal of the Substack is that it just is more accessible. My prices are pretty high for like one-on-one readings. I put a lot of like energy into them, and I give people like absolutely everything that I can, and I do a lot to like set up and come down from those. But I wanted a platform that was like, look, if that isn't it like monetarily accessible for you right now, here's something that is, and you get to do it on your own. And the Substack is maybe a little bit more for people who is like the everyday connection.
Mm,
Like, I want to learn how my yeses and nos for myself. I want to learn how to talk to my grandmother on my own. I want to feel my dad around, because I need his support right now. Like, And it's all of the tools that I use to connect and for myself on a daily basis. Phase two, honestly, might turn into like, if you want to become a psychic medium, here's some tools to do that. And it's some of the same tools, but it's much more like elaborate and brave and like, let's get in there. Like you're about to give a reading to someone, and
Oh
that
my
takes
gosh.
energy.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, the Substack would be helpful. Like it's so you can get some of those answers for yourselves, but you don't necessarily want to be a psychic medium yet.
Yet.
Or you might. These are like the first little phases. And it
Right.
might stay that way, honestly. It's like an evolving thing. It might stay for not, I don't want to say like the every day connection, but it's for everyone. Like I think everyone deserves the ability to be connected if they want to. I sit with or hear about many people who just want like this, and then they're actually fine. They're like they don't question as much as this. I'm assuming y'all's audience, and this may be a bad assumption, y'all's audience might be a lot of women. I just turned 40 this year, so this maybe speaks more to my generation, but we were brought up to question so many fucking things. Just like, like comparisons and questions, and am I good enough? And trying to
Yeah.
break the glass ceiling or trying to do something different. And I am so tired of some of those questions for myself that I want to give people the empowerment to start answering some of those, like, hey, look, like we are meant to just be doing different things. And it's this, I make this comparison a lot. I think that jealousy is something that sometimes we look at and we're like, I shouldn't be jealous. Only a woman would say that. And I hate to make that so incredibly stereotypical, but like only a woman would be like, oh, I shouldn't be jealous. Okay, like let me just be kind. Let me just be this. Like, or maybe you're not jealous. Maybe you're have high admiration for that person. Maybe there's something, maybe there's a sign or a message in there that there's something that that person has that you want. So it's just pointing out to people through Substack, through connecting in with themselves and really reframing everything that we've learned up until now and realizing that like, ooh, I'm not jealous. I admire that person. And there's something from that that I'm meant to go towards. And it just gives clarity instead of stopping ourselves. And that's the whole, maybe not the whole goal, but a part of it.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a huge point for us too. And like why we're doing this show in general is that exact premise of not doing the full send, like going for it, not stopping ourselves, stop second guessing ourselves. I think especially as women and what we kind of have to dismantle in order to get to that platform to fly. So yeah, I totally, and we totally resonate with that. Absolutely.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. Jealousy, just that topic of, especially with social media and seeing everyone's different lifestyles. And I mean, I can definitely relate. I'm like, oh my God, like look at this person living in Hawaii. This looks fucking amazing. Like, fuck, I'm jealous. It's like, okay, then maybe go try. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, ooh, like which part are you jealous of? Like which
Right.
part? I'm actually just calling to your soul and is a little bit, and then without moving there, right? It's like, how can I pull that into my life where I am now? Because that will give you clarity of whether to actually move there or not, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
We should
What?
all move to Hawaii though. That sounds great.
Oh my gosh.
Like,
Oh
yeah,
my
we all
gosh.
want to fucking move to Hawaii
I
for
know.
real. No.
Come on. Come on. I wanted to ask you about like something. It was like about the actual reading, like when you are hearing
Yeah.
something, like what is it? Do you hear it? Like it's a voice? Is it a feeling? Is it a picture? Because I know there's different types of like clairvoyance and I don't really know the differences, but I'm curious how it comes through for you.
Yeah. So for some people, it's really important to know that for themselves, right? Like, are you clairvoyant? Are you clairsentient, which is clair feeling? There's even like smells and taste. and different things. But okay, so in psychic medium, there is like a little bit of a theory around this going around right now, which I think is so fun. It is always, and I'm going to lean into it. Now, some psychic mediums that might be listening to this or people getting into it, if it doesn't resonate for you, just ignore it, because it matters more like how you feel into it than anyone else. For me, it's definitely feeling first. And then the little bit of like the theory going around right now is that it's always feeling first. And then it kind of shoots into like your secondary thing. So my secondary thing would be clairvoyant. Like I'm very visual based. Um, Probably some of that like artistry coming back into. I've highly imaginative child, highly imaginative person still, like can have like a vision of what something should look like and change it in my mind quite quickly. A good example would be if anyone were to like close their eyes right now, uh,
Okay.
could could they picture eating a salad? Could they add tomatoes to the salad? Could they taste the tomatoes? Could they add sprouts to the salad? And then could they imagine like mixing it with a fork and a spoon? Can you change the salad to blue? And some people are gonna say yes, no, maybe, whatever, but that will help give you and there's no right or wrong there. It just helps give you some hints as to like, "Ooh, like, I have this highly" I can do all of that, right? Like, I could flip the salad bowl upside down, I could throw it in the trash, I could change it into an apple if I wanted to. Um, like, literally doing it right now in my head, and as quickly as that, and some people can't, and there's no right or wrong there because some people might hear it better than my sister. I did this with my sister-in-law recently. She was like, I have the thought of it without seeing it, which is claircognizance, which is a knowing. She's like, I
Mm.
know what you're talking about, and my mind knows what you're talking about. And there's no right or wrong with that. But I feel the information when I'm sitting with someone. I feel that person coming into like my awareness, my body in some sort of way. And I feel as though I'm them in some sort of way. And I see the things that they want me to see. Like it goes into this visual thing, but it's only because I'm feeling it in my body. And I think everybody has feelings. So for me, like dads come in over here usually. Sometimes there can be variations to that, and it's always for a specific reason. Some people might feel dads come in the back of their mind, and that's just because that's how they work. And then they might start to know things about that person. Um, Technically, we all have all of these in some sort of way. So my first would be seeing, and then a knowing, and then occasionally I will actually hear words. That's a little more rare for me. That's more when I'm like falling asleep at night. I'll start to like, it's like I'm so tired at the end of the day, I'll like literally hear voices. I have a white sound machine, white
Mhm.
noise machine. And I'm like, am I hearing like words through the white noise?
Mm.
But it is psychic mediumship is so much less about what I'm actually seeing versus what they actually want me to relay. So I'll feel someone come into my body. I will see my grandfather. And then I know that their grandfather was similar. And I have to ask, like, ooh, like, in what ways are you like my grandfather? And they'll,
Hmm.
give me little hints like, well, like, we both grew up, like, Alabama is important, or this is important, or like, there's something in there, or it's something, there's a job significance, there's a personality significance. So it becomes really nuanced. And when you're starting off in psychic mediumship, it's definitely like, okay, like they'll give it to you in a basic way because
Mhm.
you're starting off. And then as soon as you practice and commit to practicing your connection, you'll start to get it in a different way. A good example would be signs and symbols. And you guys just tell me if I'm talking too much.
No, great.
No,
But
Love
not
it.
at all.
I get some people that sit with me and they're like, I used to get like this cardinal or this butterfly or this thing all the time. And I haven't seen that around lately. And I feel so lost. I feel like they're not around me anymore. And it's actually quite the opposite. It's because you've noticed it so many times that you are next level connecting in. You are starting
Mm,
to feel them more. You just don't know how.
mm,
And Not that there's a hierarchy in any of this, but signs and symbols are great. I use them all the time. But when you start to feel spirit around you and you're listening to like, ooh, that's like how my grandfather would say that, acknowledging that your grandfather's around because something about him just popped into your mind out of nowhere could be better for you than seeing the cardinal.
Mm,
It's like,
Yes.
look, like he doesn't need to send you the cardinal all the time anymore. He will, but he's also so incredibly present when you were just questioning this one thing in your life. Like, pay attention to that and trust it just as much as the physical signs and symbols that we get.
my gosh, it's just amazing. And also, I'm like, yeah, no wonder you have prep to do before and after a one-on-one because it's so much translating.
Yeah.
And holy cow, you're like, my grandfather comes in, then I know it's their grandfather, and then I have to pay attention to what this. I'm like, how are you? Because
Deciphering.
I've had a reading with you, and obviously you're not like, okay, give me 10 minutes, I got to have a conversation with this dude. It's like happening instantaneously, and I'm like, and you're telling me I can do this? Okay, maybe in 500
Maybe.
years. Like, it's just
I love it.
incredible.
Yeah, I love doing it, but and it's just like any other job. Like the more you do it, the better it gets. Not that it won't have twists and turns, because sometimes they'll like switch things up because there's like a new lesson coming down the line for me, so that my mediumship can then grow again. Those moments
Yeah.
can be frustrating for me. I'm like, oh,
You're like, whoa, you flipped the
Yeah.
script on me there, bud. What are you doing?
yeah, but it's just like when you're connecting in for yourself, like all of a sudden you have all these yeses and then things get muddled. The muddled is only because there's something else coming down the line, right? It's like, ah, like I'm so unclear right now. This is so frustrating. And it's like, well, where can you take next action? Just on like anything that piques your interest, truly.
Mhm. So what do you do if you're having a reading with someone and it is that moment where you're kind of elevating or progressing in your mediumship and like have you ever been sitting there and you're like nothing's coming through? Like we got to do this another time. Or like what do you do?
Yeah, I've never had a moment where nothing's coming through because I am very brave with saying what I feel is coming through. But I've had plenty of moments where the person sitting across from me is like, no, that doesn't make sense. I'm like, but
Yeah.
um,
Is
and then
it important? Like, would you encourage people? Because I would say I'm guilty of this. Like, I'm like, well, like, yeah, that can fit. Like, or is
Mm,
it better for people to be like, no, just say if this resonates or not?
Totally depends. If it truly doesn't resonate, I encourage people to say, like, I can't place it. Like, I just don't know. There will always be a moment in a reading, maybe not always, where I'm like, ooh, just write this down. But like, we will have gotten so many yeses before that moment that I don't care if I get a no on a few things because I'm like, ooh, just write it down. Because like, I know that it's the information that is meant to come forward now. And it's so much more fun when it makes sense to them later. Like it's more of a secret language between them and the person I'm sitting with. It has nothing to do with me. Like I don't always have to understand every single bit of information. But when I sit, like maybe 3 or 4 times in my career, have I sat with someone who said no the entire time? That's a hard reading. It's a hard
hmm.
moment. It's like it throws me for sure. Some psychic mediums that have done this for like years and years and years, their advice would be to be like, okay, well, like, thank you for coming. I need to cut this short. It's just the connection isn't there. I'm not feeling it. I have always felt like the connection is there, even if it's not perfect. And so occasionally I'll refund someone, but I will keep going because there's something in there that might make sense to them later. And
Mm,
it's not my job how skeptical or how they're receiving the information in the moment. It's my job to give exactly what I'm given. And my hope is that it makes sense later for these few people, right? Um, and if I like really feel like, gosh, like I just don't even want to like deal with the energy of me worrying that they paid for this thing, I'll
mhm.
refund. Like it's not a big deal. I'll refund
Yeah.
you. I wish
Yeah.
you well. I still hope it makes sense later. But yeah, just like any other job, we have days where things don't land. the way we want them to land. And then I also will try to go back through that reading and be like, was this a lesson for me? Like I'll ask my guides, was this a lesson for me? Was this a lesson for them? Like
Yeah.
I hate not, I'm a people pleaser, like at the end of
Mhm.
the day, right? Like I want people to come to me and be like, that was amazing.
Yeah.
Um, well, but I can't always control that. And I've had to be okay in the like, like
Yeah.
that, you know.
Right. It is what
Yeah,
it
I mean, what are you
is.
gonna do? Yeah.
Right. Is there a difference between doing sessions in person versus virtually, or can the messages come through just as fluidly?
Yeah, just as fluidly. It's like there, because for anyone that's passed away, for our guides that are on the other side, even a part of our soul, which is a weird part of this conversation, there is no existence of time or space. No one has to be like physically in the room with me for the connection to happen, because to spirit, they are no longer confined by the human reality of time and space. We as humans, I will say, and it really is a get to feel that. We get to understand and work with the confines of time and space, and we're meant to. It's a part of the reason that we're here. So if anyone's questioning their purpose, um, just know that time and space are a part of it. And so if you give time and yourself space, things will work out, right? Like at
Whoa.
some point, things get better. Comes with action and trying. And we're our part of our soul's reason for being here is to experience that. Now they're on the other side and they're like, oh, glad we're not dealing with time or space anymore. Though oftentimes I'll get the message that they miss it a little bit. And they're like, ooh,
Mm.
it's fun, like manipulating that or working with that. Yeah.
Back to the
You guys
question
are like,
at
I'm
hand.
I'm
too
scared now.
scared.
I'm a little scared. A little scared. Oh my God.
Yeah. The spirits are definitely having fun. They're having fun. I
They're
promise.
being playful right
Um,
now.
Yeah, they're
We
I
see
know.
you.
And that's the perfect like flip of the script, right? Like, oh, they're being playful. Like they're being playful. I'm like really, 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 really good at flipping the script. And the thing is that I will not get messages from the other side that are fearful. People will hear me say this in the beginning of a reading. I'll say, if the messages ever feel fearful, let me know, because they are meant to feel supportive and loving. They will never hold us back. They won't, people ask questions all the time in readings, and I encourage it. They won't necessarily tell us exactly which direction to go because they won't take our decisions away, but they also won't give messages with fear. So if I, like in the very, very beginning of starting this, like felt like a fearful message was coming through, that's me. That's my ego interpreting the message, and it's not the message. So that's you guys too. So like anyone listening, if you feel like you're getting this, like don't go that way, because and then our minds are coming up with a reason why we got a no or a don't or a stop, when it really is just a wait right now. It's a hold off. It's a, hey, take this other direction for now because there's more clarity this way. We have to do the work to change our perspective in order to get even more from the messages and even more clarity to move forward. Fear is always stopping us. And the whole goal of connecting in is to move forward with more confidence. So no, I don't get scared anymore. I actually love watching scary movies. Like I love scary movies.
Same.
When I was younger, they would actually scare me. Like I'd then be up at night and be like, oh my gosh, like that's like Seven was like such a scary movie. I could probably watch that now and just be like, ooh, like it's just entertaining. I find it entertaining. But no, I don't get scared. I hear things and see things more for myself in the middle of the night, and it just doesn't scare me. If I just like, my body will jolt sometimes,
Yeah.
and then it's a very quick like, ooh, like how funny that like my human, like
Mm.
like my ego like had a bit of a
So
Right.
then,
which is good. Like, we need that for other things. We need to like, especially as women, sometimes like aware of our surroundings. Like I don't want to push that down.
Totally.
It comes to like spiritual connection, if it ever feels fearful, I'm like, cool, things, let's not
yeah.
mention.
Like,
Just like,
no.
So, but like, okay, do you believe in, I don't know if that's how I would phrase it, but yeah, do you believe in like dark energy? Like, is there actual dark, like, I'm thinking of like demonic energy. Like, is that a thing, or is that our ego?
It's more our ego, though. I do think energy can come across as dark with how we're perceiving it. And so if I feel a dark energy in my existence, I might feel a little bit of that fear and be like, ooh, like, how can I, if I want to ask this energy questions and get the real answers, I'm going to have to change my perspective around it. So, okay, like I feel this dark energy. Why is it showing itself to me? Oh, it's talking about what life was like for them in their human life, which has very dark, we have dark moments. We experience as humans more darkness and lightness than they do in spirit. So then when I connect into their spirit selves, it's quite neutral. Like they're not overly happy, they're not overly sad, they're quite neutral and content, maybe even a bit bored, which is why we reincarnate again and again and again, because this is the adventure and that's just the other side. They can guide, they can help, they see things so clearly that to them it's so linear that they're like, wouldn't it be nice to come back and have things so muddled and unclear and have to figure things out all over again? So yes, like not that I believe in dark energy, but I do believe that we can perceive it that way. And that if we want a message, we can either be like, that's dark energy and I'm not ready to connect in with it and I don't want to, or that's dark energy. Oh, I'm connecting in with who they were in life. And I have to, if I want a message from them, I'm going to have to find a way to see them for the spiritual selves that they are now.
Yeah, that makes sense. I know. This is so funny, you guys. Like, this has never happened to us. What's up, guys? We see you and see that you're messing around with us. So that's fun.
No, no.
Oh my God. Well, yeah, I mean, I guess that's a good stopping place. I mean, I think I've got so many more questions. But we want to be respectful as always of everybody's time. So Hailey, thank you so much. It's so good to just like see you in this capacity because I know we've been commenting back and forth through the Substack. So yeah, if we'll have everything linked in our show notes on how you can find Hailey if you want to book group or one-on-one sessions, also where you can find her Substack. And yeah, anything else that you want to leave our audience or listeners with before we hop off?
Oh my gosh, thank you guys so much for having me, Mara. I'm so sorry that you're not being recorded right now. The Substack is book a reading with me if you can, but I'm pretty waitlisted right now. So go to the Substack and follow me there, especially because that's where I give advice on how to connect in for yourself. And I promise as soon as you start and start trusting it, that you'll get a lot more out of it. And thank you guys so much for having me on. This has been such a blast.
So thanks, y'all.
Thanks. Thank you.